Lin Fan was clocking in at 49 sleepless nights, basically a zombie with Wi-Fi. In 3020, burnout should have been extinct, but somehow Lin Fan kept the tradition alive. He kept collapsing from exhaustion, ranting to the underworld's receptionist, who just stamped, "Return to sender" on his soul. Apparently, even the afterlife had stereotypes. Too much hair disqualified him from programmer purgatory. While he snored like a chainsaw, something ghostly tiptoed toward his window like it had unpaid rent. His alarm screamed for the 1,000th time, still failing to get a thank you. One blurry look later, boom, another episode of Late Again, the Lin Fan story. A whirlwind of clothes, keys, and existential panic later, he was out the door. Meanwhile, his apartment began ghosting him, items vanishing ninja style. Even his face wash got slurped into a mysterious black orb chilling in his palm. But Lin Fan, focused on beating the clock, totally missed the magic show in his own hand. He snagged a ride, just in time to join the eternal highway parking lot. Fatigue slammed into him like it had a grudge. His eyes clocked out first, dragging the rest of him into blackout mode. Cue reboot. He came to drifting among the stars like a confused astronaut. Floating there, he watched Stardust pull a group project. One blink later, bam, Earth 2. The cosmic oven dinged, and the new world began to chill. Suddenly, a giant water balloon of life burst, drawing rivers faster than a toddler with markers. Oceans popped in like guests at a surprise party, followed by green sprouts gate-crashing the landscape. Lin Fan hovered like a chilled deity, taking it all in, until the universe hit next scene and dropped him into forest mode. Nestled in the trees, something oddly nostalgic caught his eye. Hold up was that his apartment's potted plant on a field trip. No time to think, rustling from above signaled a plot twist. His brain went into buffer mode, because clearly the forest ordered a beetle upgrade. Also, who approved insect gym memberships? That was enough cosmic nonsense. Lin Fan jolted awake, heart hammering like a drum solo. A quick glance outside confirmed it. He'd arrived at the office. Guess the intergalactic detour was just a brain glitch. Still wheezing from his mad dash, he barely made it inside before being yanked into the dragon's den. Aka, the manager's office. Liu Xiangdong was in full rage mode, standard Monday settings. Lin Fan mentally checked the timecard receipts. He'd made it. Liu threw in the classic passive-aggressive eye roll and reminded him of the schedule change that clearly got lost in dream transit. The boss's rant looped on, like a cursed podcast no one subscribed to. Something inside Lin Fan hit critical mass. Rage. EXE had launched. One insult too many. His palm met the desk with the force of justice. He dropped the resignation bomb without sticking around for the back in my day. Boomer speech. No drama, no tears. Just paperwork promises and a mental peace sign. Cool as iced coffee, he asked about cashing out. Liu's response hit colder than a ghosted text. No check, no nothing. Lin Fan's voice went from confused to volume warning real fast. So it was highway robbery, but in HR form. Liu grinned, tossed a trap disguised as a contract, and went full villain with a read the fine print finale. The shredded hopes and predatory clauses lay on the floor like legal litter. Flashback time. Liu's sales pitch had more sparkle than substance. Smiles were free. Honesty had clearly been out of stock. Turns out skimming fine print is how supervillains win. The emotional dam burst. This wasn't just quitting, this was a boss squawk. With one primal yell, he yoinked his chunky boss into midair like a grudge-powered forklift. Strength stat, maxed. Briefcase. Liu realized this wasn't office drama anymore. This was anime final boss energy. The boss went full Magikarp, flopping, gasping, regretting life choices. Negotiation mode. Activated. Fear is a surprisingly honest motivator. But right then, a voice slithered through Lin Fan's mind like smoke. The monstrous beetle from his dream hissed one command: finish him. A single gasp broke the spell. Sanity kicked the door back in. Liu was a pathetic pile on the floor now. All ego drained, all fear. No drama, no speeches. Lin Fan grabbed his dues and walked out like the credits were rolling. The second the door clicked shut, Liu pulled out his phone and called someone. No names, just shadows. Back at his apartment, a cold realization hit. Both the beetle and the houseplant had vanished. Palms to his face, he groaned. Fantastic, I've finally snapped. But then he looked at his palm. Yep, the black orb was still there, gently pulsing like it had a heartbeat. And this time no logic, no dream excuse. Just pure, unfiltered weird. He stared at the eerie little void nesting in his hand, the origin point of every single mind-bending moment so far. His thoughts drifted. No, fell back into that otherworldly realm. Then it hit loud and clear like a mental lightning strike. Hi. None of it had been just a dream. Right then, something deeply wrong caught his eye. His houseplant was dissolving into black particles, feeding the alien world like cosmic compost. The whole alien terrain was literally building itself by eating that tiny houseplant. Even crazier, Lin Fan realized he was the architect. One thought and the world bent. He waved his hand, and the land cracked open like a holy miracle. That's when everything clicked into terrifying focus. That hulking beetle from earlier? Yeah, that one. That was also the handiwork of the black herb. It had snuck into his headspace and stirred his feelings into chaos. But along the way, it absorbed traits from other life forms and juiced up Lin Fan's body like an evolutionary hack. That beetle, it was a tank, brute strength and a shell tougher than steel. If Lin Fan really got those traits, someone could punch him in the face and break their own hand. No wonder lifting that 400-pound blowhard was like tossing a pillow. The orb wasn't just mind games anymore. It was rewriting his biology. Mid-spiral, a wild idea lit up his brain. He spotted a spider on the windowsill and willed it into his palm using the orb, like plucking it with thought alone. One snap, and something shifted deep inside him. His fingertips sprouted microbarbs, sharp and retractable. Thankfully, he had full control. No accidental stabbings. "Hugh, at least I'm not firing webs out of my wrists," he muttered. "Or Marvel would have sued me yesterday," he joked as the words escaped. Bang, bang, bang. Someone was hammering his door like it owed them money. Lin Fan scowled. Who the hell shows up knocking like that after dark? Then came the voice that froze his spine. Paranormal Investigation Bureau. Open up. It wasn't the name, it was what it meant. Everyone in the 30th century knew the PIB. You don't mess with them. They handled the unexplainable, the ghost stories that turned out real. Lin Fan's brain went into overdrive. Did someone already snitch? Was this the part where they drag him off for dissection and data? He took a breath and locked into Plan A. Play dumb hard. Lin Fan opened the door to find 3 youthful agents. PIB badges out like a challenge. The one in charge, Li Zhenming, didn't bother with pleasantries. "We got a report," he said, "about a black light crashing into this floor last night. If you saw anything weird, anything paranormal, you're legally bound to report it." "Don't worry," Li added. "We'll handle the strange stuff, just keep us in the loop." Lin Fan went full poker face. "Black light? Nope. Totally normal night here." He reached to close the door, hoping they'd buy it. But Li's hand shot out, halting the door like it weighed nothing. Panic flared. Crap. Did they already know? Also, holy hell, was this guy made of steel? But instead of barging in, Li calmly handed over a sleek card. "Our contact info," he said, "just in case." Then, like a scene from a movie, all 3 straightened, gave a crisp salute and walked off. Lin Fan stood frozen. Wait, that's it. He eyed the card. Fancy design, thick stock, metallic shine. These guys weren't playing. On the front, "Please turn over and read carefully." He flipped it over mid-sip and immediately did a spit take all over the floor. Next thing he knew, it was past midnight, and he was 30 kilometers deep into a spontaneous road trip. Too tired to drive, he flagged a cab. But the second he mentioned Fangjian District, the driver nearly fainted. Lin Fan awkwardly chuckled. "Relax, just catching bus 11. Countryside stuff." The driver's face went ghost white. "Dude, bus 11. That route's been dead for over 10 years. Lin Fan barely got a word out before the driver hit the brakes, kicked him out, and peeled off like he'd seen a ghost. Left standing in the street, wind in his hair and disbelief in his eyes, Lin Fan sighed. No ride. No choice. He grabbed a shared bike and pedaled into the night. Why was he even doing this in the dead of night? Oh right, the card those PIB guys had handed him. On the back, some cryptic lines, a time, a place. Midnight. Route 11 bus terminal, your contact will find you. It read less like a tip and more like a recruitment letter. He didn't know if they were hiring randos off the street or if they really knew something. A deep Google dive led straight to conspiracy hell. Horror blogs, redacted files, creepy forums. But one thing was clear. If he wanted real answers about that black orb, he had to look. Back at the Paranormal Investigation Bureau, the trio chatted casually. "That black light last night felt like staring into the abyss," one said. and it vanished right near Lin Fan's place. We've got to reel him in. At least try. He sipped his tea. Only question is, does he have the guts to show up there alone? Midnight came, and sure enough, Lin Fan showed up at the supposedly haunted graveyard. 3 tall figures were already there, waiting. Without a word, Lin Fan whipped out a pistol and pointed it right at the leader's forehead. Instead of flinching, the guy smiled, like he was greeting an old friend. Glad you made it. Welcome aboard. Lin Fan sighed and holstered the plastic toy gun. Who holds job interviews in a graveyard at midnight? Li Ziming shrugged. You passed. You're in. Whoa, Lin Fan raised an eyebrow. I didn't sign up for anything. I'm just here to see what this ability user thing even is. The trio exchanged knowing smirks. Sounds like you haven't heard about the perks, or your coworkers' powers. With that, Li Ziming casually waved toward a metal street sign. The thick alloy poles screeched and twisted into a pretzel on its own. Lin Fan's eyes nearly popped out of his skull. What the hell? Li Ziming spun around, striking a dramatic pose. Tour S over. Let's roll. Minutes later, Lin Fan was already questioning every decision that brought him here. This dump. Apparently this was the Paranormal Investigation Bureau. So much for top-secret high-tech labs. Before he could process the disappointment, Li Ziming dragged him into a noodle shop. They sat. Li waved over the waiter. Braised beef noodles, no beef, no oil. Lin Fan stared blankly into space, rethinking his whole existence. This was supposed to be an elite supernatural task force. So why did it feel like a broke street gang grabbing lunch? Wait, don't tell me. You 3, you're the only ability users. Li Ziming frowned. Come on, Binhai City's massive, of course there's more of us. Lin Fan let out a breath of relief. All right, not completely screwed. Including you, Li added, suddenly dead serious. That makes 6 of us. Lin Fan almost sprayed noodles all over the table. I should have just stayed home and grown vegetables, he groaned. How many people are in this agency, really? Stop screwing with me. Li's expression hardened. You think ability users grow on trees? If we had options, we wouldn't be chasing down randos like you. Still stunned, Lin Fan mumbled, Fine, so who are the others? Li just smirked and nodded toward the door. You'll meet him soon enough. Just then the purple-haired guy with glasses, Sumu, slammed his hands on the table. Energy spike from target 3, he shouted. Lin Fan blinked. What's 3? But the trio was already halfway out the door. Seconds later, they were fully geared up like a Black Ops unit. Hey, wait, you forgot me? Lin Fan yelled. I haven't even gotten in the car. Once again, he stood alone in the wind. He turned around. Of course, his rusty old bicycle was still there, miserable and mocking. On one side, a cursed graveyard full of ghost tales. On the other side, a couple going at it like extras in a late-night drama. The couple had clearly come for, thrills. But their moment was obliterated by the furious roar of bicycle pedals. Lin Fan had pedaled after them all the way, legs on fire. He finally stopped to breathe. He overheard the girl whisper, Wow, that single dude's really out here grinding. And just like that, Lin Fan appeared silently behind them. Face pale, voice icy. You 2 know this place is haunted, right? We found a bunch of bodies here. The couple froze. They thought he was messing with them. Lin Fan continued, totally deadpan. All of them died in pairs, young, in love, screaming every one of them, mouths wide open like they were begging for help. Ghosts love targeting couples. The messier the relationship, the juicier the bait. He waved them off like a grumpy uncle. Go home, save yourselves. Then he climbed onto his legendary, creaky old bike and pedaled away, whistling like it was just another ordinary Tuesday. Meanwhile, the guy he'd roasted was still seething, muttering curses under his breath. But something about the way Lin Fan said it, so serious, so disturbingly specific, was starting to mess with his head. He leaned toward the girl and mumbled, Maybe you should go back, just in case. Back on the road, Lin Fan had barely ridden a block when he slammed the brakes. The air shifted, thick metallic blood mixed with gut-churning rot. Then it came, a blood-curdling scream ripped through the night behind him. His stomach dropped. Target 3, it had gone for the couple. He froze, he was completely alone. No sign of the others. He had just awakened, barely stronger than your average gym bro. Charging in now, that'd be suicide. And let's be real, those 2 weren't exactly saints. Why risk dying for them? But as he turned to go, something twisted deep in his gut. Could he really just leave them to die? Let someone die like that? Gritting his teeth, Lin Fan whipped the bike around and sprinted back toward the screams. The girl from before was collapsed on the ground, eyes wide with raw terror. The thing, whatever it was, had slapped her boyfriend to death in one hit. The fear clutching her now was paralyzing. Lin Fan arrived just in time to witness the carnage. The guy was already gone, and as for the monster, Lin wasn't sure he'd last 10 seconds. Thinking fast, he grabbed her hand. "Come on, we have to run." But her legs were done, totally useless. She couldn't even stand. And now the creature, Target 3, was tearing toward them at terrifying speed. Desperation seized him. His eyes darted around, searching for anything, a brick, a rock, anything to fight with. But before he could reach for anything, the girl jerked to life, screaming, and shoved him backward with startling strength. Then she turned, sprinting like her very life depended on it. Lin Fan crashed to the ground, dazed, staring after her in utter disbelief. "Are you kidding me?" he muttered in shock. "I came back to save you and you ditch me." The creature closed in, its clawed hand plunging straight through Lin Fan's stomach. His expression froze, disbelief etched across his face. As he watched the woman he tried to save vanish into the night, all he felt was a deep, surreal absurdity. 20 years of a dead-end life. And just as he finally awakened, was it all going to end here? Gritting his teeth, Lin Fan struggled back to his feet. Rage, humiliation, helplessness, they sparked something deep inside him. Something wild and primal. With a roar, he grabbed a nearby brick and swung it down onto Three's head. For a split second, he thought maybe it worked. But the only response came in the form of a devastating punch, sending him flying dozens of meters through the air. As he slammed into the ground, pain racking his body, the truth hit him harder than the blow. He was no match, not even close, just another helpless prey waiting for the inevitable end. His vision blurred, fading fast. His consciousness began to slip away, drowning in darkness. In those fading moments, the only thing he could remember was overtime. Endless overtime. Gritting his teeth, Lin Fan growled through the pain. "I finally had a shot at something different, even if I die right now. I'll tear a piece off you before I go." The rampaging beast 003 suddenly flinched and let him go. Lin Fan gasped for air, but his body refused to respond. Just then, the black orb in his palm began to spin, pulling the chunk of flesh torn from the creature into itself. Deep inside his inner world, a swarm of rhinoceros beetles stirred, lifting their heads in unison. Something had awakened them. As Three's blood and tissue dissolved into the blacklight, the beetles began to morph, rapidly, visibly. No change needed, already part of line 224. In mere seconds, they transformed into monstrous hybrids, part demon, part insect. In the real world, Lin Fan felt the surge, a heat so unbearable it felt like his very skin was about to tear open. Three stared at him, eyes wide with disbelief. Lin Fan rose, slow and steady, his presence completely transformed. Three didn't hesitate. It lunged, striking with brutal force. But Lin Fan was already gone, behind it in the blink of an eye. He could feel the power surging through him, unrelenting, alive, filling every fiber of his being. When Three's attack came, Lin Fan dodged it effortlessly like it was nothing. Without giving Three a chance to react, Lin Fan funneled every ounce of strength into his fist. The scene mirrored what had happened before, but this time, the roles were completely reversed. The prey had become the predator. His punch landed clean. Three crashed to the ground unmoving. Instead of victory, Lin Fan just stared up at the sky, groaning. "Seriously." She ran off and didn't even call the cops. "I'm bleeding like a stuck pig. Even a cow would have dropped dead by now." Just as his vision began to blur and his consciousness faded, the wail of sirens cut through the night. Turns out, that girl had actually gone back and called for help after all. Meanwhile, the three-man squad from the Bureau finally showed up. Late, of course. They scanned the area, certain some hidden expert had already taken care of things. But when they asked the police, they got a surprise. Nope. No one else, just that guy and whatever that thing was. Lin Fan's consciousness sank once again into the black glowing realm inside him. He looked around, stunned to see that it wasn't just beetles and spiders anymore. A full-blown ecosystem had started to form, but all the creatures still reproduced the same way. Simple cell division, copy after copy. Lin Fan scratched his head in wonder. What if I threw in some mammal cells? Would these things evolve gender? Just as Lin Fan was mentally debating whether to add mammal DNA to his inner ecosystem, He was pulled back to reality by voices near his hospital bed. The Bureau's trio was deep in discussion. The blonde guy grinned. Gotta admit, kid's got guts charging at him like that. But Su Mu, the guy with glasses, scoffed. Guts? That was pure recklessness. If it weren't for that mystery figure showing up, he'd be dead 800 times over. Lin Fan, still pretending to be asleep, twitched at the mention of that line. Wait, what mystery figure? Before Lin Fan could process it, Su Mu kicked the side of the bed. Quit faking. We know you're awake. Lin Fan groaned and sat up, only for Captain Li Zhenming to grab him by the collar. What the hell were you thinking? Li barked. Don't go playing superhero just because you got lucky once. Lin Fan blinked, completely thrown off. Okay, I get it, no more solo acts. But inside, he was grumbling. So I take down 3 myself and get no bounty. And there was still the little issue with the black orb in his palm. No one could know about that. Lin Fan clenched his jaw, swallowing his frustration. Just then, chaos erupted in front of the hospital. Screams echoed through the crowd. Zio, I love YUU. A hyper-limited edition supercar rolled up, its door lifting to reveal a woman. The moment she stepped out, the crowd went wild. Flashes, screams, reporters, mayhem. When asked who she was visiting, the woman smiled sweetly. I'm here to see a friend, Lin Fan. That woman was none other than a national goddess, idol of the masses, crush of half the city, and unofficial hospital mascot. The only problem, Lin Fan had no connection to her whatsoever. Or so he thought. The door burst open, and in walked Zio Xianqing. Lin Fan didn't even lift his head. You've got the wrong room, lady. She smiled calmly. Nope, you're exactly who I'm here for. With a wave, her bodyguard stepped out. The room went silent. Zio Xianqing walked up and placed a hand on his shoulder. I work under Li Zhenming, she said. I'm one of the Bureau's 6 ability users. And I heard someone decided to pick a fight with a C-class ghost body. On his first day. Then, without warning, she leaned down and kissed him. Pulling back, she whispered into his ear. And now, let me tell you something. Only core agents get to hear this. The moment Zio Xianqing whispered the intel, Lin Fan didn't hesitate. He leaped straight out of the hospital window. If what she said was true, then Li Zhenming and the others were already in danger. Because the real issue with this case wasn't the escaped spirits. It was that one of them was a spirit serpent from the Ming Dynasty. And that thing was no joke. At that very moment, Lin Fan's mind plunged back into his spiritual world. A horde of escaped spirits surged in, tearing through the void. Sensing a viable host, they charged at him like crazed lunatics. But to their horror, Lin Fan didn't get possessed. He devoured them instead. He snapped awake, panting, thinking it was just another nightmare. Little did he know, his inner ghost body had already begun to evolve. Following the address Zio Xianqing gave him, Lin Fan hurriedly jumped off the ride and soon spotted another Bureau agent waiting near an old school building, Zhou Lele. And for the first time, he felt it, energy fluctuation. The 3 kids standing nearby? Yeah, definitely not normal. Then another agent, Jing Gao, handed Lin Fan a delivery from Xianqing. He opened it, glanced at the contents, and stood there stunned. You've got to be kidding me. I'm undercover as a 24-year-old high school student. Just as Lin Fan was processing things, Zhou Lele suddenly reached out. Hey, can I borrow some money? They'd literally just met. No trust, no bond. Lin Fan didn't hesitate. Nope, Lan quickly stepped in. Wait, it's not for us. It's for our friend Tang Yao. Her dad racked up a huge gambling debt. If they don't pay it back today, her whole family's screwed. Lin Fan sighed. Sure, it sounded tragic, but he knew one thing for sure. People who fall into gambling rarely crawl back out. Zhou Lele snapped. Fine, screw you then. She spun on her heel and stormed off, dragging one lawnmower with her. The 2 girls headed straight toward Tang Yao's house. The moment they were out of sight, Lin Fan got moving. No matter how much he tried to stay out of it, he couldn't. Not completely. Jing Gao offered, I can help, just say the word. But Lin Fan shook his head. People who run gambling dens aren't just thugs. They own this city. The truth was, he didn't want dead weight slowing him down. Back in his inner world, Lin Fan had already discovered a troubling truth. Ghost body cells could coexist inside him, but they couldn't truly merge. In most cases, those genes remained dormant, asleep. Only when fully activated would he shift into his ghost body form. Unlike the sharp and agile spirit type or the balanced medium type, the ghost body was unhinged, pure rage, and when it awakened, its raw power wasn't something low-tier scum could even dream of handling. But they were too late. Tang Yao's mother had already signed the paper. She desold her daughter for 2 million yuan to a gambling kingpin. Tears streamed down Tang Yao's face. But it wasn't the knife in the blonde thug's hand that terrified her. It was human nature. Then suddenly, the screech of tires shattered the silence. Zhou Liu and the others rushed in, clutching a bundle of borrowed, begged, and even stolen money. They begged to buy back the contract, but they didn't realize the money they had brought wasn't enough. Not even enough to cover the interest. Zhou Liu's anger skyrocketed. She was ready to shout the whole thing to the world. But Tang Yao's mother stepped forward, blocking her path. "You'd better stay out of this," she warned coldly. 2 million yuan is salvation for our family. Even if it costs me my daughter, she spat, the words venomous as she blamed people like Zhou Liu. Entitled brats who have never tasted real desperation. What she didn't know was that they weren't rich girls at all. The Bureau had given them temporary fake identities due to their abilities. Zhou Liu's fists clenched. She was about to snatch the contract by force, when suddenly, the smell of grilled meat filled the air. Lin Fan was sitting casually off to the side, barbecuing. The thugs froze, Blondie sneered. "All right, if Tang's mom won't cooperate, we'll deal with you instead." 3 of them moved forward. The big guy swung. An iron chain coiled around his massive fist. The punch landed, clean and direct. Then he dropped unconscious, and the iron chain shattered. Why didn't that massive punch leave even a bruise? Lin Fan's rhinoceros beetle defense. Not even a diamond press could scratch it. And then his eyes burned with pure killing intent. Blondie pissed himself, but remembering the monster above him in the food chain, he shakily raised his knife. Terrified yet still desperate, Lin Fan just grinned, reached up, and slowly pulled a toothpick from between his teeth. With a flick of his fingers, it shot forward like a bullet. The metal sign of the barbecue shop, Flack, now had a perfect hole right in the center. Blondie turned pale. He grabbed the unconscious fat guy and ran as if his life depended on it. Because it did, Lin Fan calmly sat back down. "More skewers, please, add extra kidney." Tang Yao stayed silent, but her mom erupted. "You idiot, we've lost everything. No money, and now the casino will come for blood." Lin Fan raised an eyebrow. "Me, I didn't do anything. I just stopped by for some snacks. A couple of thugs thought I looked beatable. That's self-defense." Tang's mom dropped to her knees, sobbing uncontrollably. But Lin Fan's gaze was as cold as ice, for he had already figured it out. The one who sold Tang Yao was her father. And the 2 million payout, that went straight into her mom's personal account. Tang's mom froze, her face drained of color, as the truth stripped her bare. Tang's mom stumbled into the kitchen, throwing herself at Tang Yao's feet and clutching her hands. "Please, if this deal falls through, your father is as good as dead." Tang Yao's tears fell again, bitter and helpless. No matter how hard she fought, she couldn't escape the fate of being sold. After a long pause, she wiped her eyes and nodded. "I'll do it." She stepped outside, but Lin Fan and the others were already gone, their car vanishing into the night. Only one thing remained, a golden savings card quietly left behind on the table. Later that night, Zhou Liu charged at Lin Fan, furious, her fists flying. She punched him over and over. Lin Fan didn't flinch. She still didn't understand. She still thought this was some fairy tale. He finally snapped. "I didn't want to make a scene. You'd think giving her money would magically fix everything, that she'd walk away safe and unscathed. The ones who sold her out were her own damn parents." At that moment, Jing Gao caught up with them. "I tracked Blondie and his crew. They ended up at the Jehua Club. It's probably their base." Lin Fan was about to check it out when Tang Yao appeared, calm and composed. "I'm just here to return something." When they saw the golden savings card, Zhou Liu immediately frowned. "You wouldn't lend me a cent when I asked nicely. And now this." Lin Fan sighed. "That wasn't my money. I borrowed it from Li Jiming. Didn't even get a chance to fight before falling into debt." Tang Yao's eyes dimmed. That only made it worse. She couldn't accept it. To avoid an argument, she lied. "My mom paid the money back." "All of it?" Lin Fan nodded. "Good. If it's settled, no need to drag this out." He turned and left. No one looked back. None of them saw Tang Yao hesitate. Then she quietly dialed a number. "Come pick me up," she said. A black car pulled up in the rain. Tang Yao placed her phone gently in a puddle. She'd made up her mind. She would never burden her friends again. But Lin Fan had seen this coming from the start. He and Jingao had staked out the Jehua club, lying in wait. And sure enough, Tang Yao had accepted the deal. The two split up. Lin Fan was about to take out a loan. Jingao stayed outside, ready to provide backup. Cut to Lin Fan lounging in one of the club's private VIP rooms. He casually placed a golden bank card on the table, loaded with 200,000 yuan, as a parade of beautiful women entered, each more stunning than the last. But no matter who walked in, Lin Fan didn't even glance up, muttering to himself. After a while, the hostess had clearly had enough. Frustrated, she waved the girls away, then grabbed her radio and called security. Lin Fan smirked and lifted one foot, smashing the VIP table into splinters, infuriating them. It was all part of the plan. The thug in the tank top lunged at Lin Fan, but he sidestepped effortlessly. Lin Fan's fist shot out like lightning, slamming hard into the thug's gut. The thug folded like a collapsing chair. The two goons behind him froze, completely stunned. Lin Fan didn't hesitate. He whipped out the umbrella he'd been carrying, launching into a flurry of jabs, stabbing wildly as if fencing in a storm. In seconds, all three were on the ground, groaning in pain. Lin Fan calmly flipped the umbrella around, locking it around the thug's throat. "Take me to your boss." Meanwhile, in the club's surveillance room, the man in charge, Scarface, watched Lin Fan closely. He recognized the bureau uniform, but not the face. Then Blondie, still trembling, pointed at Tang Yao on the floor. "That's him. That's the psycho from the barbecue joint." "So be it," Scarface grinned darkly. "Old debts, new grudges. Let's settle everything tonight." He crouched down, grabbing Tang Yao by the hair, fully expecting to get answers from her. But she refused. Not a word, not that it mattered to Scarface. The outcome had already been decided. With a sinister smile, he leaned in and ran his tongue across her cheek, then opened his mouth, releasing a surge of pure, corrupted ghost energy. It swirled around him, thick and suffocating. The air itself seemed to warp under its heavy presence. Before her, he shifted into a high-tier ghost form, radiating sinister energy. He loomed over her, his voice dripping with twisted delight. "Born in the year, hour, and minute of Een, you're a rare source of prime spiritual nourishment. Consuming you would grant me over a century of power." His grin grew wider. "But first you must say it, swear loyalty, body and soul." For the first time, Lin Fan unleashed his complete ghost body combat form. His skin instantly transformed, covered in a shimmering layer of rare serpent-scale armor. His defense soared, along with the lethal instincts of a cold-blooded predator. Across from him stood his opponent, a smug man in a tailored suit who simply laughed. "Snake class," he sneered. "I'm an Eagle-class power user, master of the skies. Not even God himself could change the food chain." In the following rounds, Lin Fan was pushed to the edge, unable to land a clean blow. But he didn't panic. "Sure, eagles are fast, but you hit like a toddler." He grinned, taunting. "You sure you don't need some traditional medicine? Go pop a few herbal supplements, old man." That did it. The air exploded into wind and chaos. The man's eyes narrowed, and armor held back. His wings flared wide, and with one powerful flap, sent slicing shockwaves crashing into Lin Fan. Seeing the tide turn, the eagle user smirked. "Time to end this." He lunged forward, aiming to land the killing blow. Completely oblivious, he walked right into Lin Fan's trap. Lin Fan smirked. "Now, what happens when you add a little spider DNA into the mix? Suddenly, your sky-high, godlike status drops to, I don't know, mosquito level." The suited man's face twisted in rage. "That's impossible. A snake can't spit webs." "That's not how it works." Lin Fan shrugged, hands in his pockets. "Did I ever say I was snake class? That was your theory, not mine. And you ran with it." With the suited thug out of the way, Lin Fan ventured deeper into the casino, heading toward the lair of the final boss. Before he even reached the door, the pressure spilling from inside slammed into him like a freight train. Whatever was in there made the Eagle-class user seem like a joke, at least 10 times weaker. Maybe more. Playing it safe, he quickly sent his location to Li Zhenming and called for backup. Just then, a voice screamed from inside the room. "Lin Fan, I know, don't come in, you'll die." "It's not worth it." "Not for me." That's when it hit him. The enemy already knew everything, his abilities, his habits, his fighting style. He hadn't even made up his mind whether to fight or flee. Then suddenly, boom. A deafening crash shook the hallway. A dark figure emerged from the smoke, his body cloaked in ghostly aura. The pressure was unbearable. The man smirked. I'm the one you've been hunting, little agent, target 3. Lin Fan exhaled sharply. Figures, just my luck, but a monster like you? That's exactly the kind I signed up to stop. With that, he charged in, fist raised high, ready to strike first. The gap between them was too vast. Three's speed outpaced Lin Fan's by dozens of times. Lin Fan's punch didn't even graze him. Overextending, he left himself completely exposed. With a smirk, Three drove his fist straight into Lin Fan's chest. The serpent-scale armor shattered instantly. From inside the room, Tang Yao screamed, "Stop, you can't win. Just run, leave me." But Lin Fan clenched his fists, teeth gritted. "I've come too far to turn back now. I promised Lille I'd bring you home." Three narrowed his eyes. "You bureau clowns are all the same. Always lagging behind, always weak, the dust-eaters." But in the middle of his taunt, Three's expression suddenly twisted. He felt it. Li Zhenming and the others were closing in. "Fast, damn it. If those three show up, I might not make it out. Fine, let's finish this." He roared, unleashing all his power. Crack, crack, crack. Frost exploded across the floor, racing up Lin Fan's legs until his entire body was encased in solid ice. But Three didn't finish him off. "No, a body like yours. You're the perfect host." But then the ice began to crack, and a surge of energy erupted from within. Lin Fan shattered the ice and broke free. Lin Fan lunged, his hand grabbing Three by the hair in a split-second strike. This was the moment he had been waiting for. Without hesitation, he slammed Three's head hard against his own. It connected. Solid hit, but for an S-class ghost, it barely made an impact. With a snarl, Three struck back. Ice spikes shot out from his back, hurling toward Lin Fan. Lin Fan didn't stand his ground. Instead, he retreated, weaving backward. Using spider's silk, he swung across the room, evading like a shadow. Every now and then, he fired a web, just enough to disrupt Three's aim. The hit-and-run tactics finally pushed Three past his breaking point. "Enough," he screamed, unleashing his full frost domain. The room flash froze, ice coating every surface. But Lin Fan kept weaving, firing more webs. Each web was deliberately off-angle, zigzagging, inconsistent, until the entire room was draped in shimmering spider silk. Three growled, his fist clenched. "This game is over." He raised his hand for the killing blow, but Lin Fan flicked open a lighter. Actually, Lin Fan smirked. "This whole thing, my setup. Fire beats ice, and webbing makes the perfect fuse." Click, the flames roared to life. In seconds, the entire room exploded in fire. Three staggered back, his power weakening under the intense heat. Lin Fan stood tall, knowing reinforcements were almost there. Just before disappearing, Three shot one last glare over his shoulder. "Don't get cocky. Today was luck. Next time you see me, I won't be wearing this face." With that, his form dissolved into the smoke and flames. Moments later, the ceiling's fire suppression system activated, rainwater pouring down. Lin Fan exhaled sharply. He had timed it perfectly. Just a second later, and he would have been caught in the flames. He shook off the soot and blood, then draped Tang Yao over his back. He headed to the rooftop, where Jing Gao was already waiting. After catching his breath, he turned to her and asked, "Why does he want you so badly?" Tang Yao blinked, still dazed, her memories a tangled mess. "He said I'm some kind of rare body. If he devours me, he gains 100 years of power." Lin Fan's face hardened. Now he understood Three's true objective, and there was no way he'd let that slide. After a long pause, he looked at her seriously. "You've got two options. One, go into protection and live a quiet life, or two, stay with me. Train, fight, but it's going to be dangerous." Tang Yao met his gaze without a flicker of doubt. "I'm done hiding this time. I'll fight too." Suddenly, sirens blared from below. Lin Fan exchanged a few quick words with Jing Gao, then quietly slipped away, carrying Tang Yao in his arms. Moments later, Li Zhenming's team arrived at the scene. They were greeted by devastation, a room torn to pieces. The only thing left behind was a faint trace of energy lingering in the air. In the corner, they found a suited man hanging from the ceiling, entangled in spider silk. Sumu stepped forward and scanned his ID tag. "It's Lu Wei, B rank, beast-type ability user. Escaped our custody 3 times." Just then, Li Zhenming crouched beside a shimmering shard of ice on the floor. He picked it up and gave it a quick taste. His eyes narrowed. "It's in, 3 was here." Su Mu's face darkened. If Lin Fan ran into him, he didn't finish. And 01 needed him too. After the scene was secured, the local police handed Lu Wei over to the bureau. Li Zhenming wasted no time. Who's your boss? How many are in your group? What's your goal? And where's the guy who beat you? But Lu Wei had been trained. His expression remained blank. Not a word. Li's face darkened in response. Li reached out. With a slight squeeze, Lu Wei collapsed to his knees, his face contorted in agony, as though his insides were being crushed. After a few moments of brutal silence, Lu Wei finally cracked. My boss is 3. That kid, Lin Fan, escaped, but I don't know about any organization. I'm just a hired hand. Sumu quickly checked his vitals, pulse, brain activity, all stable, confirming he wasn't lying. Fine, Li said coldly. Then we'll take him back, he's got more to say. But suddenly, an explosive surge of power erupted from a nearby rooftop. A shadowy figure emerged, wings unfurling from his back. Before anyone could react, he launched a strike directly at the team. The attack didn't threaten Li's squad, but Lu Wei was instantly skewered by razor-sharp feathers and died on the spot. There was no doubt. The attacker was here for one reason, to silence him. Now, the only thing they had left was whatever memories could still be extracted from Lu Wei's corpse. After fending off 3, Lin Fan took Tang Yao back to the old barbecue shop, knowing more ghost attacks could be imminent. He turned to her and said, "Why not stay at my place for a while? That way, he could protect her around the clock. Plus, her special body type could attract low-level ghosts, which meant extra income." But Tang Yao didn't quite grasp all that. Her thoughts veered elsewhere, her face turning bright red. She stammered, "Okay, I guess that's fine." They weren't even on the same page. Lin Fan was thinking business, while Tang Yao was lost in full-on romantic drama. Seeing her agree so quickly, Lin Fan grinned. "Cool, let's move tomorrow. That way your parents can focus on running the barbecue shop. 2 birds, 1 stone." Tang Yao still felt a little guilty. But with her parents safe, and Lin Fan watching her back, this was clearly the best choice. Meanwhile, Jing Gao was on his way to regroup with Lin Fan. But halfway there, he sensed a sudden, intense surge of ghost energy. Without hesitation, he abandoned the car and raced toward the source, the coastline. And there it was, a rotting, monstrous Burin ghost, heading straight for a crowded cruise ship. Sand was Jing Gao's domain, and this was his turf. Confident in his advantage, he didn't call for backup. He struck first. The ghost screeched in fury as the strike landed, instantly redirecting its wrath. Target acquired. The beast charged from the shore, sprinting straight at Jing Gao. Jing stomped the ground, and the sand surged upward, trapping the ghost in a swirling prison. He smirked, perfect execution. Game over, but he didn't expect the ghost to be a dissolver type. As rain poured from the sky, the sand became heavy and sluggish. The trap disintegrated. The ghost roared forward, unfazed. Jing tried to summon a sand shield, but the waterlogged grains moved too slowly. The ghost reformed, its true form fully emerging. Then with a crash, a massive spiked tail slammed into Jing Gao, launching him like a ragdoll into the cliffside. Jing Gao staggered to his feet, his right arm twisted and broken. He still wanted to fight, but his sand-forming ability was gone. The entire area around him was soaked by the rain, with not a single grain of dry sand in sight. He bit his lip bitterly. If I had just trained harder, maybe I could have unlocked deeper nature powers like Captain Li. Now powerless, he could only watch as the ghost advanced, ready to tear him apart. Meanwhile, back at Bureau HQ, Elder Jiang sat frozen, a strange chill creeping up his spine. Something was terribly wrong. Li Ziming noticed immediately. Su Mu scanned the area for nearby energy signatures. Su Mu's face paled. It's Jing Gao. His vitals are plummeting. But before he could say another word, Elder Jiang had already grabbed his code and was rushing out the door alone. Meanwhile, Lin Fan suddenly felt a sharp pulse of ghost energy, with Jing Gao's aura buried within it. A wave of dread surged through him. Without hesitation, he launched himself forward, spider silk propelling him at full speed. But by the time he arrived, it was too late. The ghost was crouched over Jing Gao, ravenously devouring his internal organs. Lin Fan's eyes blazed. "You sick freak. Even your ancestors should be ashamed of you." He leapt and brought his fist crashing down. Boom, the ghost's body exploded into gore and slime. But its dissolving nature allowed it to survive, splitting into multiple chunks that kept moving. Now surrounded on all sides, Lin Fan was forced into a chaotic melee. Then a weak but clear voice called out, "Jing Gao. Lin Fan, go, forget me. It's over. Don't die for a man who's already dead." But Lin Fan still refused to give up. Using spider silk, He hoisted Jing Gao onto his back. If he could make it to the nearest hospital in time, maybe there was still hope. Maybe, just maybe, there was still a chance. But the ghost kept coming, and the rain never let up. Lin Fan clenched his jaw. Running wouldn't be enough. So instead, he ducked beneath a bridge and prepared for battle. He gently set Jing Gao in the corner, then quickly spun hundreds of web traps, lacing them around the area with precise placement. Then he stood dead center, waiting, luring. The cost? He'd make it take the first hit head-on. Lin Fan smirked, his teeth gleaming. Come on, freak, let's see who the real predator is. The ghost finally sensed something was off, but it was too late. The web snapped shut, trapping it in a cocoon of silk. Without the rain, its dissolving ability completely failed. And just like that, the hunter became mummified. But Lin Fan wasn't doing much better. Blood loss took its toll. His vision blurred and he collapsed. When he opened his eyes again, he found himself back inside his inner world. Oddly, the sky above began to rain blood. From the deep forests, the beetle folk poured out. They knelt, worshipping the heavens for this sacred gift. Meanwhile, the shadowlings, the small black beings, soaked in the crimson rain. Their skin began to peel, their forms changed. Eyes were no longer their only feature. Mouths began to form. Some even awakened new powers. The ability to manipulate soil with pure thought. Lin Fan's eyes widened. That's Jing Gao's power. He understood immediately. The black hole had absorbed Jing Gao's blood and triggered a new evolution in this world. Now the shadowlings looked more human. They built with tools. They had begun to form a civilization. Lin Fan watched it all unfold. His heart warmed. They had taken the next step, but whether they would reach the modern age was up to them. As his mind returned to reality, Lin Fan slowly opened his eyes. He was lying in a hospital bed, connected to medical equipment. A single word flashed on a nearby monitor. Status Jing Gao. Deceased. Captain Li Zhenming entered, his face stone cold. What exactly is your ability? Lin Fan stayed silent for a moment, then simply whispered, I'm sorry. That set Li off. Sorry, how much have you been hiding? You saved Hang Yao and still didn't report back. Why? Just then Zhou Lele stepped forward, her voice trembling with fury. Yes, Jing Gao's gone, but Lin Fan nearly died trying to save lives. She grabbed Li's collar, her eyes blazing. And that ghost, it escaped because of your department screw-up. So why the hell are you blaming him now? Li Zhenming, as captain, understood loss better than anyone, and he didn't want to blame Lin Fan. But he needed answers. Zhou Lele, however, hated the way he acted like a prison warden, interrogating a man who had just survived hell. Without another word, she slammed the door behind her and stormed out. Lin Fan let out a long sigh. No more lies. That night, I saw the black light that gave me the power to absorb anything and evolve from it. Last night, I absorbed Jing Gao's blood and gained his ability to control sand. Li Zhenming didn't reply at first, then after a long silence. Power isn't the problem. Control is. You want to survive in this world of ghosts? Master one thing and master it fully. It's the only way to protect those around you and save the people who still need saving. As for your next step, I've already arranged for you to attend new recruit training. 1 month from now. Old Jiang stood silently before Jing Gao's grave, his voice trembling. I lied to you, and I hate myself for it. Years ago, Jing Gao had awakened his ability, but the official report from the recruit camp said ineligible, too weak for combat. When Lan stepped beside him, her gaze soft, she asked, if that were true, then why is his name carved here among the heroes of the Bureau? She looked at the stone, her fingers brushing the engraved letters. The world we live in now, ghosts don't just haunt us, they threaten everything. And for those of us with powers, death is always one step behind. That is our fate.